Don't touch your wiener. That's right. Today I'm here to tell you to not touch your wiener. Also, you should avoid looking at any pictures or videos of two people humping. Welcome to the Sacred Sexuality Project, where we help you live a higher expression of your sexuality. And as you saw by my intro, I learned how to edit my videos, which hopefully should provide a better viewing experience for all of you. And today I wanted to take the time to talk about two things that I think are super important for anyone who's thinking about going on this no-fap journey, or any kind of abstinence, or getting off porn, whatever. There's two things I think are really important. And the first thing is that you need to understand what your triggers are, and then you need to gain an awareness of when you are being triggered. Now, these things sound super obvious and simple, but there's a little bit more to them. And I think in order to understand how important these things are, you need to look at the habit cycle and how that affects us. So, what is the habit cycle? The habit cycle is basically our brain's way of helping us do things without thinking about them. So, for example, if you go up to a door, you don't have to stop and think about how the heck do you open a door. You just open it, right? And the habit cycle has three main parts. First is the stimulus or trigger. Second is the action. And third is the reward that you get that kind of reinforces this behavior to the point where it becomes a habit. So, with the door example, the stimulus is that you see a door, you're in front of it, you're walking, and the door is in your way, and that triggers an action. And that action is for you to reach out, turn the knob, and walk through it. And the reward that you get is that you get to the room you're trying to go to. Pretty plain and simple. Now, the way it applies to like pornography is that the trigger is something in your environment. It could be an image or a person you see, or it could even be a state of mind or a mood. And what this is it becomes a trigger which starts the behavior. And in PMO addiction, a porn, masturbation, orgasm kind of cycle, then this sends you into the mode where you start looking at porn, masturbating to orgasm. And so that's the activity phase. And the reward you get is you get to stop feeling what initially kind of you were feeling, right? You get to stop feeling horny, or you get to stop feeling bored, or you get to stop feeling anxious or stressed out, or whatever it is that you were feeling that caused you to go through this behavior in the first place. Something really important to note about this cycle is that during the activity phase, your brain activity actually goes down significantly. And there's a good reason for this, because in nature, in our evolution and stuff, like if we had to stop and think about everything, and it was a big concerted effort, it would be a pain in the butt to do anything. Everything from opening the door to pretty much everything else. So our bodies and our brains are amazing in that they get to be very efficient, and they get you to, once you perfect an action and ingrain it as part of you, it can just flow out real easy. But the problem with this whole setup comes when you are ingrained in habitually doing things that aren't good for you, like porn. What this does is it kind of sets up an opportunity for what I call a reflexive relapse. You might be doing good on your quest for dishing porn, and everything's going along awesome, and then all of a sudden you engage in PMO and you're like, holy crap, how did that even happen? You're fine 1 minute, and then afterwards you find yourself feeling like, I don't even know, like, what, I wasn't even thinking, it just happened, and now you're all pissed off and you feel shitty, and it sucks, right? The reason that happened is because something triggered you, and your mind went into that place of low activity. It's very hard to change direction when you're caught up in an ingrained cycle like that, because basically your brain's not working like very hard. So you need to find a way around this internal mechanism that we have built up. And the two things, like I mentioned in the beginning, that can help you do that is identifying what your triggers are, and then gaining awareness for when you're being triggered. Okay, so as far as like what triggers are, we mentioned that they could be anything. They could be an image, they could be an emotion, they can be all different kinds of things. And there's a lot to say about this kind of subject, and in my future videos I'll definitely address it in more depth. But for now, just take the time to figure out when do you masturbate most. Is it like when you're home alone just bored? Does it happen when you have a lot of all your stuff in your mind, you just need an escape? You know, are you putting yourself in situations where you are going to be exposed to provocative images or something like that? Whatever it is, you gotta figure out what your pattern is. The second point is that you need to gain an awareness of when you're being triggered. Now, the reason that this is so important is because when your brain's in that low activity state, you're in a state of very low awareness. You're kind of just on autopilot. And by learning how to get an awareness when you're like you find yourself engaging autopilot, this is super powerful for, you know, your entire life. Because, you know, think about us as human beings. It's kind of crazy that we can go into autopilot and not really know how to disengage it. You know, it'd be like if you were a pilot in a cockpit and the autopilot got engaged to like go crash into something and you don't know how to turn it off. We are the pilots of our lives. If we can't control where we are going, how are we supposed to end up where we want, right? So how do you gain this awareness? Well, the main thing you want to do is, after you get an idea of when you might be triggered, you want to plan ahead to watch what this feels like. And when it's happening, you want to observe how your mind feels. You want to observe how your body feels. You might even notice kind of like a split sort of consciousness arising, where part of your mind's just like click, click, click. I want to do this. I want to see this. This is awesome. And another part of your mind scream like, no, stop, bail, bail. Right? So if you can, obviously stop. You're going to want to stop, and the best way you can do that is by having something very easy you can do to divert your attention. You know, that's why I mentioned in my last video, if you saw, putting NoFap or my videos on a bookmark bar on your toolbar, so you can just quickly click it. You know, but other things, if you have a little more willpower, you can go outside, you can, you know, watch TV or do something else. But in order for you to do that, obviously, you're going to have to be able to disengage that autopilot and steer away. So I hope that whole concept of the habit cycle and, you know, understanding your triggers and then gaining awareness of your triggers was helpful for you. I got a bunch of great questions for all of you who saw my first video. I really loved all the feedback. You guys are awesome. Like, really, you're such a cool community. And I will be addressing those questions in future videos. I just wanted to kind of put this one out there first because I feel like this is really like foundation stuff, and I will be getting to your questions in the future. So if anyone else has anything they want to ask me, go ahead, shoot them this way. But other than that, just make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and stay clean.